Hey, how everybody doing? So, in today's video, I wanted to talk about how back in the days from as far back as the 1970s, all the way up into currently, both sexual irresponsibility along with out of wedlock births have been glorified in society, not only in music but in society. Because, excuse me, let me fix my glasses. Not only um, in songs, but when you think about it, it all started out back when there was a song made in the early 70s by the Temptations, called the group called the Temptations, longtime singer group. For some of you who may not know about the Temptations, but who may have parents that may be baby boomers, especially grandparents, I'm sure if not the parents, the grandparents for sure know about the Temptations, because that's one of the longest running R&B black groups as far as I know. And when only one a long lasting member, one member that's still living, still alive. Although I believe the last remaining original member of the group passed away a good while back, unfortunately. But this song was originally made by another group. I can't quite remember the name, but it was back around the late 60s, early 70s. It just so happened the Temptations covered the song. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry about that. The Temptations happened to cover the song, remake the song, and the song, in essence, and to break it all down, explain how the guy, that was this one guy who happened to have multiple kids by multiple women, and like it stated in the song, it literally talked about how wherever he laid his hat, that was his home. And to sum it all up, once again, break it all down, it talked about, first and foremost, infidelity along with having kids out of wedlock. And it also stated, in essence, how there were children who happened to be siblings, and I'm assuming having to have different mothers, who questioned one of their mothers on their father, who they never got the chance to meet, only to hear bad feedback about him, bad things about him. Because the song also discussed how he ended up dying eventually. And another song that back in the day celebrated sexual, well, I guess you could say more so infidelity, glorified infidelity. And it's one of the reasons why I would say, judging from my perspective, that infidelity is now more popular, because when you think about it, in not only in music but in movies, even on TV shows, it's glorified to the point where kids nowadays have to really have adult supervision or adult discretion in order to watch most TV shows and movies. However, things are so backwards now and screwed up now to the point where kids, when smartphones, could just put in the word porn, click on the search icon. Once they were to put in the word porn, only to get all these pornographic images and videos. And what's even more screwed up is how lots of videos, pornographic content, when people doing orgies, sex parties, that kind of stuff, which it encourages people nowadays to want to become even more unfaithful and more sexually irresponsible. Anyway, another song I wanted to point out was Creep by the group TLC, which was one of the most back in the days, specifically during the 90s, and prior to the group member T-Boz Left Eye passing away, was one of the most biggest R&B, I guess you could say, girl groups or female groups back during that whole decade, just about, specifically between the mid to late 90s, because they came out around 1990, but then become mainstream or more popularized to around 91, 92, that time frame. Anyway, in the song Creep, which came out around the mid 90s, I say 1994, if I'm saying it right, it talked about being unfaithful, very unfaithful, and just doing all you can to have multiple relationships while being in the relationships. If you know what I mean, if you catch my drift, catch my drift. Bear with me, because it's been a few weeks since the last time I posted a video on this channel, in case you may notice how I'm stumbling my words or how I may happen to be somewhat tongue-tied. But back then, if you think about it, infidelity way back then, this was almost 30 years ago, which is hard to believe how time flies. Infidelity is even more rampant in today's society. And it kind of made it seem worse if you listen to a song about women singing all about infidelity and unfaithfulness. That gives a woman a bad name, so to speak, a bad reputation. Although it's even more hard to believe, ironic, and screwed up now, and things are even more backwards now, to the point where women nowadays, i.e. Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, are embracing being a slut, a whore. Excuse my language, but it is more glorified, because a perfect example would be that song, But I Digress. Let me get and stick to the topic still. That song, along with another song by a one-hit wonder group, B-Rock in the Biz, My Baby Daddy, where throughout the whole chorus, whole hook of the song, the lady is talking about how that's just her baby daddy, while it's another guy rapping as she's singing a hook. And that song is way back from 97. Now just imagine how things have gotten even worse, way more worse back then compared to now. And whether you know it or not, I just mentioned two 90s songs that promoted and glorified not only sexual irresponsibility, but infidelity as well. And I mean, now it's just a backwards society that we're living in, to the point where you get praise. It's like you get praise for having multiple kids by multiple people instead of being married to the same person for X amount of years, whether it may be with no kids or having kids by only that one person. Because I hate to say this, man, it's like things like that, dynamics of that nature are looked at as corny or lame. When you believe in being faithful to only one specific person, having kids by specifically one particular person, settling down before you have kids instead of marrying after you have kids, that's all looked at as, I guess you could say, an insult. Once you doing the right thing, being just the most faithful person in a relationship you can be, because infidelity and sexual irresponsibility. Also, on that note, let me also bring up the song Pimp, P-I-M-P, by both 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg, how they talked about having multiple women and being very sexual, when in a nutshell. And when you put it all into perspective, the song P.I.M.P. by both Snoop Dogg and 50 Cent, the song is all glorifying throughout the whole song being sexual, very sexually irresponsible by having sex by multiple women and having more than one woman, which is another word for that would be polygamy, which when it all comes down to it, polygamy equates to having more than one partner, what it may be having multiple wives, multiple girlfriends, or multiple boyfriends. Anyway, I'm going to close out this video, and I want you people who may be viewing this video to feel free by leaving a comment right down below in the comment section. Also liking the video, sharing the video, the channel. Last but not least, subscribing to the channel. Until next time, God bless.